That's good.
Thanks. Okay, I have received your draft, by the way. I have received several drafts this week. So, well, feedback is on the way. I will send each of you via email. Good. So just keep writing. Every day you will have something to write, some pieces, like pieces of a puzzle, and then we will put it all together and make a big picture at the end. Before you know it, you will have lots of, memoirs that are ready to be shared. Well,
yeah.
Okay. So we'll probably get started. If someone is late or joins later, we can send the recording. Don't want to take any minute of your precious time. I know we are all busy here, right? Most participants just grab some time from their busy life to be here. So that's why we will get started. So last time we talked about some aspects of memoir writing, and we have discussed flashbacks, and you were given an assignment. Thank you for those responsible participants who have followed this assignment closely and who have sent me their drafts. Well, we are reading them with my helper, and hopefully this weekends you will receive feedback and you will continue writing. So you will have lots of things to write. And for the workshops coming, well, editing will be done mostly by us. So you will be required to write free writing, as many writing as you can do. So let's start. Today we are going to talk about the muddy middle of your memoir. So what is it? Well, okay. Well, as you can see in the picture, muddy middle is something probably you experience a lot in the weather conditions of every fall, right? We have experienced that last week probably. So what is the muddy middle in memoir writing? Well, actually, the moment the excitement about your idea begins to fade into reality of writing a whole book, that's where you experience this muddy middle. Well, sometimes as early as the chapter 1, if it's a big book, or as early as the first paragraph, you will give away this whole thing, the reality that you want to discuss. Well, how long should this muddy middle last? It all depends on your choice. But well, muddy middle that's the journey. That's not the destination. So that's what happens. Actually, this is the big idea, the reality that you are throwing at your readers. You can start it as early as in the beginning of your memoir. You can give it and develop it throughout your memoir, or you can give it at the end. So whatever it is, muddy middle is whatever happens in your memoir. Actually, this is the whole construction. Everything. This is the construction that actually keeps everything together. So we'll be talking about this part today. We will be mostly talking about what makes your memoir stick together. And in the muddy middle, you have to really try to tell the truth. Well, but the definition of the truth can be different. Sometimes we write memoirs and they are muddy middle, or let's say they are boiling pot, or their main topic, main theme, as we have named it last time. That's actually giving the truth. But the truth can be different. We can define truth differently. It can be the truth that you know, that's your personal truth. We should understand that truth differs from person to person. So the things that you accept as truth may be different for another individual. And then there can be truths that you discover. So at the beginning of your memoir, you weren't aware of this truth, but at the end, you came to realize that here is this truth. It can be harsh, it can be pleasant, but this is the discovered truth. Also, there can be family agreement on truth. So what is it like? What is truth defined in your close circles? And also there is the truth that you must tell, that your inner feelings are urging you to tell. So whatever type of truth you are including in your memoir, try to write the truth, because memoirs really grab the attention of the readers if they are telling true stories. The main goal of writing a memoir is sharing your true experience. So every time you write the story, it's okay to include some fantasy part. It's okay to be creative, to come up with new characters, and to put the story in different ways. But still, there should be glue that sticks everything together. And that glue must be truth, because memoirs are all about truth. Well, next, criticism. Well, one of the aspects that stop you from writing, actually, we made the list last time. What stops you from writing? Yes, we mostly considered physical circumstances, lack of time, lack of vocabulary, and etc. But I didn't hear from you about the criticism, self-criticism that you experience as a writer. I'm sure that every person who writes, they experience inner criticism. So some voice inside you tells that you cannot really make it. It's not good enough. So this is your inner critics. And this is what stops most of us from writing. So who are the inner critics? These are actually people who criticize, well, every experience that they have, and they really criticize everything that they have to write about. So whatever you want to write, it have to pass through your filter of criticism. If your filter of criticism is really thick, then it would be very difficult for you to come up with a story. So sometimes it's better to lower the filter so that you would be able to tell the truth. So there are certain strategies in order to deal with inner criticism. Well, everyone's strategy can differ, and every strategy can work. Some strategies can work for some people, and others may prefer other strategies. So here I'm going to ask you a question. Have you ever felt that you were criticizing yourself for your experiences, for your writing style, and how did you deal with these inner critics?
Um,
Yes, please, Kate.
so I think, you know, the level of my satisfaction with what I do is my inner critic, is my inner critic. If I'm not satisfied, if I'm bothered about something, if I feel it was not done well or it was not done enough, so I try to like find out what was wrong, what exactly which bit was wrong, what
Good.
caused it to be wrong. So I think if it's much easier for me, because if somebody else criticizes me and I have my level of satisfaction, so it's like, well, why you're being so bothered about it. But if somebody says what I feel, is like we've got the same reflection, and I know that the person is criticizing not to show power but to help me, so I would gladly receive it.
Very good. Very good. Good. Okay, very strong point. Good. And others, probably they are now, let's say, turning on their inner critics, and their inner critics are saying, please don't speak up. Your ideas are not going to be worth hearing, right? That's why probably their microphones are muted. Just you have to sometimes lower the voice of the inner critic. It's okay. Inner critic is your inner guide. It will guide you to certain places, but sometimes you have to really set a border where it ends. Just like Kate told us that if you achieve self-satisfaction, so it means that you have done a good job. So, and there are outer critics. And who are the outer critics? And what are the strategies for dealing with them? Just imagine you have shared your memoir in a close circle of friends, or in the let's say in a peer review group. So you received criticism, harsh and very direct criticism. How do you deal with it? Well, I think Kate has already answered to this question, and she said that she analyzed if this person is criticizing in order to help or in order to show power, right? Good, very good. This is a really good strategy. So if you really feel that this criticism is done in order to improve your writing, then you really take it. Actually, it has to go through your affective filter in order to influence you. So That's why it's very important to deal with inner and outer criticism when you write, especially when you write memoirs, because memoirs are a very sensitive piece of writing and they involve our experiences. If it was an imagination or fantasy work, you would probably receive criticism a lot easier. But your memoirs, they are your memories. They are part of your life. They are part of your soul. So that's why sometimes criticism can be really a lot to hold on. It can be really a lot to take in for writers. But still, we have to make sure that inner and outer critics work for our best. They help us, but they don't stop us. And also, we should really develop our own strategies to deal with criticism because at every point in your professional writing, there would be people inside or outside, they would be very much willing to criticize you. So you have to really set a standard for yourself and you have to maintain this defining standard for yourself. And you have to always compare what the critic says and what your standard is. If you have really achieved that level of standard that you had in mind, then it would be a lot easier to deal with critics. Okay, so last time we had an exercise of writing down things that stops you from writing. And inner and outer critics are probably one of these aspects that make you stop writing. So be aware of them, try to use them for your benefit, but not for stopping you from writing. Okay, and today we are going to take an exercise. Well, you can write it down, you can write it in the chat, or you can say it by turning on your microphone. So, as we have talked about the truth, you define the truth that you want to write about in your memoir. Is it the real truth? Is it the truth that you feel that you should tell? Or is it the truth accepted in your close circles? Or is it the truth that you discovered? So, whatever it is, just think of one truth that you might write about and where did it come from? Well, we write about truth. Yes, we write about our true experiences in memoir writing. So, is there any truth that you want to tell about? And if you could, please define this truth. Is that accepted truth? Is it the discovered truth? Is it a closed circle type of truth? Or is it the truth that your inner voice is telling? So, whatever this is, and give an example of what this truth is. Do you have any truth in mind that you feel that you have to share through your memoirs, that it's really important for the reader to know? Some true message that you feel that you have to tell the world, for example. Well, if you have any ideas, you might just send it in the chat. So Kamala has a truth that she wants to share, so please, you can define it a little bit. So what kind of truth is that?
Hello,
Yes, Kamala?
everyone. Um, the truth is not so sweet. I think.
That's bitter.
Yeah, but I acknowledge that recently that I do my best and I do everything that can make me more interesting person, more famous among others, because of my ego. I want to receive some kind of, I want to listen from other people pleasant words or some kind of, I don't know, words that satisfy me that I'm a good person. And I've recently acknowledged it by reading and listening to others, like seminars, webinars, and I really want to write it down like a story how I acknowledge it, the way where I thought I'm thinking about it, and and that's it.
Great, very good. Thank you. Okay, you have your own idea of truth then. Very good. So anyone else that'd like to share their truth that they really want to write about? So if any ideas cross your mind during our workshop, you may just type it in the chat, or later you may send it to a group so that everyone will read and discuss. So this is very important to analyze the type of truth that you want to tell the world, because this time we are going to write about the truth. A truth maybe you discovered, a truth maybe you built this truth, but it wasn't true at all. You just made yourself believe that this is the truth, but at the end everything failed. Or maybe it's the truth that your family made you accept, but your inner guide told you that it wasn't true at all. Or maybe it was the truth that you came to know. So whatever it is, you have to think about truth as a central theme this time. So that's why keep it in mind. I will send the full instruction in the group as well. Now, as we continue here, okay, truth can come from different topics. We discussed in the very first workshops that there are many types of memoir writing, and healing and testimony memoir is one type of memoir that is very widely written by authors, and truth can be involved in your healing story. So this month we are mostly working with transformation story. Yes, moment that your life changed. So telling the truth that you wanted to tell. This is a part of healing. This is a part of transformation. So, well, this time, you will just choose your own truth. It can be healing story, it can be discovery story, it can be funny story of memoir, whatever it is. So you have to know that there are certain topics that truth telling really goes well. Healing and testimony type of memoir writing is just one type of it. So you can read Pennerberg's research on healing. I will send the links later. And so what is healing and how do we heal ourselves? I'm sure that all of us have experienced mental or physical pain at any given time of our life. Especially mental pain has very great effect on our well-being, on our personality. So sometimes our healing story actually derives from this pain, and how did you heal and what was the truth behind it? That can make a great story. Most of the memoirs that involve truth come from healing stories. So persons were able to heal themselves, or they were offered healing by comforting people. So whatever it can be. One just suggestion is to write a healing story. Well, maybe you had any kind of experience with pain, and then you were healed, or you healed yourself, and there was a truth that you discovered or you came to know in the end. So this is one type of the story that you may try to write this time. Now, next element of our memoir writing is narration. Last time we talked about the element of flashback, and I really could see some elements of flashbacks in the drafts that you have sent. Well, some of them were, let's say, short flashbacks that were used, let's say, in some inappropriate settings, but most of the times, some of you had really good use of flashbacks and could really see the whole picture. And we will keep working on the flashback with our transformation story. For this, our next true story, we will mostly concentrate on the narration. So narration is basically the language of your memoir. This is the language of your story. This is how you tell your story. And the way you tell your story can be very powerful. The way you tell the story makes your story successful or a total failure. Well, first of all, narration comes from the word narrative, and narrative is basically a synonym word for story. So if it's a narration, there is a plot behind it. So something happened. In our case, it's you healed. At the end, you discovered truth, or there is the truth that you were, let's say, keeping in a closed circle. So whatever it is, this is an example of narrative or example of story with a plot. Memoirs can also include plot. They can have characters. They can have, let's say, resolution, their own conflicts, and etc. So this all elements of plot build up your narration. So creating a narration is done by connecting the events that you wanted to include in your memoir. So again, just like we mentioned in the previous session, first of all, you select your central theme or muddy middle of your memoir. And then you come up with different settings that, let's say, if relative events happen, and then you connect these events with the glue, which is truth, right? And then when you link all these things and everything is in place, you will have a narrative. And when narrative is organized as a story, it becomes narration. So you have to really make sure that after you finish writing, you track your story plot. Is it really flowing well? Is there any place that you feel like you were stumbling? So if it's a smooth road, you walk and everything goes very smoothly. But if there are some obstacles, then it's not a very pleasant journey. Just like this, if you walk through your memoir again, you would be able to see that if your memoir narration is flowing well, then everything is going very well. Everything is in their place. So that's why narration editing is very important. Some of you wrote that editing was actually more difficult part of writing. It was even more difficult than writing itself. Why is it difficult? Because here, if in the first place, when you were writing your narration, you were thinking as a writer, here in the editing part, you have to be a critic. You have to be able to see how well you are handling this journey. So when you connect your plot to the central theme, and then you connect your characters to this theme, and then you make sure that everything is in place, and you will have a great narrative that is very interesting to read and that really can deliver the message that you intended to tell the world. Well, we have talked about voice a lot. We have discussed some aspects of the voice. Here, I'm going to mention only one information that as a narrator, you can be guiding or reflective narrator. So for memoir writing, if you choose guiding narrator, you will show the events on the way. You will show the story on the way and everything happens and you just guide and lead the reader. If you are a reflective kind of a narrator, and then you reflect on what you happen, you mostly describe your feelings. So your memoir becomes mostly descriptive. So whatever type of narration you want to write, that's totally up to you. But you have to make sure that you are making your narration flow really well. And what is the well-written narration? That actually comes from you. There are no rules, there are no frames. That's your inner feeling. If you feel like you have done a good job, that everything is in their place, then probably, most probably, you have done a good job. Because as a writer, you, of course, have your inner voice that guides you, your inner critic that tells you that you are doing enough or not enough. So what you have to know is there is now narrator. So your narrator, the person, you telling the story, lives in now, in contemporary times. And then your life now reflects the past life that you had. Or you can have then narrator. So narrator is physically here, but mentally in the past, telling the story of past only. And also in the memoir writing, you can have guiding and reflecting narrator, as we have already discussed. So as a narrator, you can choose to be now, then, guiding, or reflective narrator. Sometimes it's really to get confused and you start as a now narrator and then you become then narrator. Or you start reflecting on your experience and suddenly you start guiding your readers. For you, it may be unnoticeable, but for the reader, it can cause confusions. Reader suddenly stops and says, "What happened? We were in the past. Now we are experiencing some things in contemporary times, so it can get really confusing. That's why this time when you are writing about truth, pay attention to the narrator type you have chosen. Are you here and now? Or are you then, at that time? Are you guiding your readers? Or are you reflecting on the past experiences? And try to make your whole narration in one type of narrator telling style so that your readers will not get confused. Well, about the lens, we talked about colorful lens last time. So you have to wear different colors of lens. So you have to wear different glasses if you are telling a positive story or a sad story. So you have to make sure that every word that's written in your memoir should get through these glasses. And today we will talk about lens. So you have to choose the lens through which you write as well. So it's not only glasses, it's lens as well. Well, there can be two types of voice that you use in your memoirs. The first type of voice is voice of experience. It means that you are the person who has healed, who has gained experience, who has empowered herself. Most of us are women here, right? So you write from the lens of your experience. It means that here you critically reflect on your past actions. You are able to analyze, you are able to discuss downsides and advantages of certain experiences. Or you can choose to be an innocent narrator. So your voice is of innocence. It means that you didn't really choose to tell, just you were on the go and you were innocent, you were totally uninvolved, but everything happened to you. So whatever type of voice you want to choose, it's totally up to you. But again, don't just mix them all in a very short piece of writing so that your readers will clearly get the idea if you are telling it through the lens of experience or through the lens of innocence. This kind of writing is called looking back voice and being at voice. So looking back voice, that's a voice of experience. So you look back, you analyze, and you reflect. And being in it voice is you are an innocent participant of whatever you're writing about. So whatever you choose to be, just make sure that you stick to it throughout your writing. Well, also sometimes some writers try to integrate them. So in the some part of the same story, they become innocent. In the other part, you can really see them as through the lens of experience. So, but that's a little bit difficult task to carry on. Just try, alternate, and I'm sure that as you keep writing, you will develop this. You will get used to wearing these or that lenses. It's just like wearing your jewelries, right? One day you go out and you wear this, let's say, silver earrings that you like, and the next day you choose another one. It's just like that. If you keep writing and keep practicing, it becomes so easy that you can change it just like gloves, and you can really use it in any place that you want. So these are about choosing your voice. And there are layering scenes and narration. Well, there is one central theme, and there are settings or scenes that make up this central theme. So you choose the theme. In our case, it's telling the truth here, right? One truth that you want to tell the world. And then you set the scenes. Telling the truth should not actually happen in one scene. You can choose 2, 3 scenes and connect them together in order to fully describe this truth that you are writing about. So how can we layer these scenes? How should we connect and how should we organize them in order for them to serve the main theme effectively? First of all, you have to weave this narration. So you have here plot, what happens, you have your characters, and here in the center, the truth that you want to tell about. You have to weave them so well that they should flow together, everything should stick together, just like the parts of a puzzle. When you put everything together, that would be a very beautiful picture to see. So there are no moments and there are then moments. You have to really make sure that they don't get mixed up. Well, you can use your memory, you can use your imagination, you can be descriptive, use adjectives of description and tell the story. So whatever you do, then make sure that everything goes smoothly, everything is weaved together. In that case, you will achieve the type of memoir that we were intending to write from the very first workshop. So these were just some of the practical recommendations of choosing narrator's voice and writing narration for you. If you have any points that you need to clarify, please you can ask any questions here. That's like our teamwork. So maybe you can talk about your experience of choosing narration or voice. So maybe you have some points that you didn't get in this presentation. If you have any questions or any suggestions, the floor is yours. So far, so good. It's like Aziza wants to talk, right?
No, I have no questions.
Everything is fine, right? Okay, so I'll just check how fine everything is. Kate, please.
Yeah. I was just thinking for personally for me, maybe if you have like an example, and then we can see, this is like voice of innocence, this is experience. So
very good. Very good. Okay, exactly. I have examples I have prepared for you. Actually, I have prepared it as a way of an activity. So I will send you parts of short paragraphs from memoirs. Some of them are written in reflective voice, some of them are written in experience lens, and etc. So that's the matching task that I will send in the group soon. In your free time, you can take a look at this, and tomorrow I will send the correct answers so that you will see how well you did and were you really correct, and you would be able to make conclusions for yourself. So what is this, let's say, experience voice? What is this now narrator? So I have additional materials prepared for this, so you will be receiving it today in the group. That would be your little home task, and your big home task would be thinking about the truth that you want to tell, or the truth that you are hiding, or the truth that you discovered, whatever it is. There is one word in the central idea of today's topic, that's truth. So you have to just try to write about truth. If it gets too difficult, concentrate on your healing story, and then probably you will be able to identify a type of truth in that. So if it's too difficult, just you may try to continue on your transformation story. But I really hope that you would be able to use these elements and write about truth this time. Just try it. But first of all, of course, do the exercise that I'm sending you so that you will be able to identify with practical examples, as just Kate suggested now. And then you will start writing your own truth. And when writing, try to alternate your narrators, then, now, try to reflect and or try to show that you are experienced and healed, let's say, narrator. So that's basically what we are going to do this week. I understand that tasks get overwhelming sometimes, but just try. I'm sure that it's gonna happen. Just write down truth in a sticker, stick it next to your laptop, and start writing. And you will see that you will end up with really good writing if you just don't give up. So that's basically it. I would be sending you the presentation material and also activity for analyzing these types of narrator today. Well, thanks for your time. I'm sure that after doing this activity, you will have practical view of what we talked about today, and then you would be able to use it in your own writing. And thanks for those who have submitted me their drafts of the transformation story. Feedbacks are on the way. probably I will get in touch with you during the weekend. Thank you so much for participating.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you. Good night.
okay,
Bye.
so we will discuss the activities in the group then. See you next.
Okay.
Take care.
That's good.
Bye bye.
Bye.